Looking for a hybrid car that won't make you feel as if your life is meaningless? Well, until last week I would tell you need about 50 grand and a BMW 330e, but that was before I drove the hybrid Hyundai IONIQ. This is where I'll play a montage of beauty shots while you're rolling on the floor laughing. I totally understand, but it only gets better. Wait for it. IONIQ further breaks the hybrid stereotype through its entertaining driving experience, attractive design, and advanced connectivity, matching the expectations and changing lifestyles of customers. Entertaining driving experience in a hybrid Hyundai. Back on the floor, laugh it out. Under normal circumstances, I'd start picking on some elements which seem out of place, on looks which only a mother could love, on the whole concept, but there doesn't seem to be anything fundamentally wrong with this car. For example, I'm actually quite comfortable behind the wheel. The instrument cluster is clear, even if I'd like a bit more information displayed in one place rather than having to click through the menu. But okay, at least information overload won't scare off potential clients. The gear lever is in the usual place on the center tunnel rather than protruding from the dashboard. It stays in the position you put it in. There are no strange modes, just parking, reverse, neutral, drive, and sport. Sport? Really? And this is not a CVT like in a Toyota Prius, for example. This is a 6-speed dual clutch transmission which changes gears fast and lets you feel the car accelerate. In the Prius, if you give it the welly, for whatever reason, you will just hear this moaning noise from the engine, and you can't really feel the car accelerating because the revs and the speed, they don't correspond. Here, pedal to the metal, there's a downshift, a distinct downshift, and you can hear the revs are picking up along with the speed. And you know what's happening, and you feel the IONIQ is faster than the Prius, even though the Prius is actually slightly faster, 0.2 of a second faster actually on paper than the IONIQ. But the IONIQ feels fast. As far as size goes, Hyundai IONIQ is very close to Toyota Prius, so there's going to be more comparisons. Steering is surprisingly direct, albeit somewhat light, especially at higher speeds. But higher speeds usually mean motorway, where I can turn on adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. I tried the trick with a bottle, it doesn't work. Infotainment. Hyundai and Kia offer an infotainment system which is relatively easy to use, relatively functional, Okay, in my opinion, Volkswagen Group cars have better, easier to use infotainment systems, but for example, SatNav in a Nissan is atrocious, and Nissan makes you pay for it. IONIQ comes with wireless charging for your smartphone. There are ports and sockets to connect and charge your gadgets, couple of cup holders, decent storage. Driver's seat has electric adjustment and 2 memory settings. The seat could be a bit longer. I find Hyundais tend to have this problem. Otherwise, it's rather comfortable, not too loud. I almost forgot to mention the drivetrain. Hyundai IONIQ was designed with hybrid, plug-in hybrid and electric drivetrain in mind. PHEV is not available everywhere yet. This here is an IONIQ hybrid, in which a 1.6 petrol engine works in tandem with an electric motor to produce 140 horsepower and 265 Nm of torque. You can drive in EV mode up to 120 km per hour. IONIQ Electric is slightly more expensive than a Nissan Leaf, but also offers longer range, at least theoretical. IONIQ Hybrid, on the other hand, is slightly cheaper than the Toyota Prius and offers similar economy figures, at least on paper. Not necessarily in real life. IONIQ Hybrid should use between 3.5 and 4 liters per 100 kilometers, but getting it below 5 liters requires concentration. Good news is that on a ring road, IONIQ got up to 5.3 liters, but quickly dropped below 5 once I was back in the city. However, the new Prius easily does 3 liters and a bit around town and exceeds 4 liters only on motorways.
That said, I feel IONIQ is just more fun to drive than the Prius, and this could have an effect on fuel consumption. Both cars have multi-link rear suspension these days, though the EV IONIQ has a torsion beam. However, IONIQ with an automatic gearbox is just more fun to drive, it's got more responsive steering, and yeah, this will cost you at the pump.
Perhaps it's also a matter of information displayed. Prius shows me more eco data at once and it's easier to adjust your driving style. In a Prius, I know when the batteries are charging and discharging, and in the IONIQ, the batteries seem to always be at around half of their capacity. On the other hand, information overload in a Prius can scare regular mortals. Also in the back, things are not rosy, and I'm not talking about the upholstery color. I'm 175 centimeters tall, the driver's seat is set to my driving position. There is good legroom, but headroom is terrible. As good as the IONIQ is to drive, compared to the Prius, it's hardly a sporty coupe to get away with headroom like this. Armrest with cup holders is a plus. I also like the way seat belts are mounted so they do not obstruct seat folding. However, loading space is not flat, same thing in the Prius. At 443 liters, the boot is almost 60 liters smaller than in the Prius. There are no shopping bag hooks, there is only a net by the floor. Detach it and you'll find a mini spare under the boot floor. Speaking of which, the boot floor is rather cheap.
No, I didn't hit my head. I'm genuinely positively surprised by the hybrid Hyundai IONIQ, and I think you will be too. With prices starting at around 24,000 euro, the IONIQ offers what Prius lacks, and that's driving pleasure.
This top-spec test example costs around 30,000 euro. And what do you think about the Hyundai IONIQ Hybrid? Let me know in the comment section below. Watch more of my reviews, share, rate, subscribe, and join me for another episode next Friday. Or click the playlist on the screen to watch more of my reviews now.